Hey YouTube, it's jurracmaster. I have a kind of jurrac deck for you that I had thought of a long time ago, back before we had anything released except for the jurracs, the 5 original jurracs, Giganoto, Tyrannus, Velo, Monoloth, and Protops. This is kind of like the build I was running back then, and I thought I would update it and make it better now with everything out. It's kind of like Giganoto Turbo, I guess, because that's all we had back then. That's all I ran. I was making Giganotos like crazy. That's all I knew how to do in the deck. And that's all the deck really did back then, as far as I was concerned, at least. So, you have your 3 Giganotos. You kind of have to run 3 in this build. That's why I put 3 here, so you guys could see that 3 go in this deck. And then for the monsters, 3 Guaiba, which I didn't have at the time, 3 Velo, and 3 Dino. Those are mainly the monsters you're going to be using, but you also get your 2 Aolo, 1 Hera, just in case you get in trouble later on, Tyranno Infinity, 3-dimensional Alchemist, and 2 Effect Veilers. So 18 monsters, and onto the spells. You get 3 Fossil Digs, 3 Forbidden Lance, 3 Burden of the Mighty, 1 Reborn, 1 Dark Hole, 1 True Nade, and 1 Book of Moon. So, I'll go over the cards and why I chose them in more detail when I'm done with the traps here. So the traps are Solemn, 2 Warnings, 2 Trap Stuns, 1 Mirror Force, 2 Survival Instinct, and Return from the Different Dimension. So, 3 Giganotos, always needed in a deck that's made for spamming Giganotos. Now on to the monsters I chose, and why I chose them. That was just a run over of Giganotos again, why there are 3. The Effect Veilers in here are kind of there because your biggest fear when you have like 2 or 3 Giganotos out is losing them to card effects. So you want to make sure they can't just Bryonic you or whatever they want to do to you. You have to have Effect Veilers there, just in case. Also, they can be used in a last-ditch effort to synchro or anything if you have to. Like with Hera or something to make a Giganoto, if you absolutely have to. And these 3, very multi-purpose card in this deck. Late game, after you've used your Survival Instinct, it can bring back guys to your hand. This thing's used to speed up the deck. It's 1800, which your jurracs pretty much lack that 100 extra. I mean, it's 13, but its effect makes it 18, so in effect, you know. It speeds up the deck. It's there for protection. It's there for late game if you need to grab a monster back. Get back some monster to run people over with the next turn, whatever. Like, if you get your Tyranno Infinity deprisoned late game, it can come back and work again. So, a very useful card to speed up the deck and for late game. Tyranno Infinity is pretty obvious, although I don't use it until all else fails. This thing is searchable at the end of the game with that Fossil Dig you get, and you've removed from play all your dinos, and these 3 have failed you. If you have to resort to Tyranno Infinity in this deck, it is because these 3 have failed you. because you are out of options, you had to survival instinct to stay alive, or just you are out of options and don't need to survival instinct to stay alive, but do it anyway because you need the Tyranno Infinity because it's your last resort. So it's in there to save you, pretty much nothing else. The rest of it's pretty self-explanatory. These 6 will search for you, grab you your monsters that you want. They're level 4s, they keep level 4s out. The 3 Dino are there for synchroing, and these 2 grab back people from the grave to synchro again, and this is there for protection, and it synchros with these and effect veilers to make more Giganotos. Now on to my spell lineup. These pretty obvious. They're just kind of staples, so I won't really go over those. I'm running 3 burdens because you need to make sure you beat the opponent attack-wise and are able to run over their monsters. A little less important once these guys are out. I've gotten 3 of these out in this deck. It was really fun. Typically I just have 2 out and all of that, but I was able to OTK someone with triple Giganoto, so that was fun. Burdens, definitely necessary in here. Not solidarity, not anything else, just burdens. These 3 are pretty obvious as well, in my opinion. They're here for running people over if you have to, and Giganotos are saved by this, because, as I said, you have to watch out for being killed by card effects, and you save your Giganotos with the lances, and they're not going to run over a Giganoto. Even after Lance, if you've played right, you should have a lot of monsters cycled into your graveyard, whether it be attacking into things you can't beat with Velo a lot, and then summoning that Dino, and just synchroing, and having, say, 4 to 5, maybe even 6 or more Jurracs in the grave at that point, makes him very, very strong. So even after losing 800, especially if you have 2 out, then they're not going to run it over, so it's not really a problem to you to lose the attack in order to survive something like Dark Hole. Very useful card, even in non-Giganoto Turbo. Just works. And 3 Fossil Digs, because you need to be able to search out your Jurracs, and late game, if necessary, you need to get this Tyranno Infinity. I wish they made that as like a super rare or something. It would be so much cooler. I want it all super rare, all dual terminal or whatever. I just want everything cool. Trap lineup, pretty self-explanatory with these. Solemns, they stop things you don't want. More protection against back row you don't want. And trap stuns are more protection against Deep Prison, Mirror Force, all that. Mirror Force if you need it. So, pretty self-explanatory there. Last Ditch Effort makes Tyranno Infinity and keeps you alive. It also works in great combination with this. So, keep that in mind. Say you got stuck in a pinch where you have no Jurrac Giganotos out, you never did, and there aren't any in your graveyard or anything, or maybe there's just 1 or something. You can return after a survival instinct and make them, or if you've already made all 3 and they aren't coming back, survival instinct just the 3 of them, and then return for the win maybe. Like if you can top deck that Trunade and have these 2 already face down, just, I don't know, activate these and then Trunade. Obviously Trunade's not going to work before these 2, because they have to be set, but it keeps you from running into deep prisons and whatnot. Hopefully you'd have a Solemn or something face down, and save yourself with these. So these are more of a last-ditch effort as well, when you're out of other options. And I like this deck. It's not the deck I prefer to run for Jurrax, but it is very interesting deck, and I did like running it while it was my only option. Obviously, I didn't have the synchro ability that I do now. We didn't have dinos, we just had the basics. We had to use Monoloth back then to make it Protops instead of Guaiba, but it's pretty much the same build. It's just I have a few more Jurrax to play around with. So I thought I would update this. I never put it on YouTube, so it's less of an update. It's updated to me, but not to you guys, I guess. So I thought I'd put it out there. Giganoto Turbo was always fun for me, and it's a viable deck to play. I think it does very well, and I've been playing around with it. Works, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope some of you play with it. Guys, if you play with a deck idea that I have, I don't get back to you guys on, like this Giganoto Turbo here for you, and you play with it at a tournament or something, tell me how you did, tell me if you have any changes, but I'd really love to hear how you guys do with these decks that I post on YouTube. It would mean a lot to me if you guys would get back to me like that, and I really appreciate it, and I'm really happy that I've got so many subscribers so fast. Like, I think I'm doing pretty well for just getting started on YouTube. It's been maybe a month now since I started, I guess. Not even a month yet. So, I'm really appreciating all this that you guys have done for me, subscribing, everything. I'm almost at 40 subscribers by the time I'm making this video, and it hasn't even been a month. I think that's pretty good. It's like 10 subscribers a week, actually more than that, and I think you guys are really helping me out here, and I hope that you guys enjoy the Jurrax I put up. So please do get back to me if you run this deck, if you run any of my decks. Tell me how you did, what you lost to, what you won against, any improvement suggestions. I really do appreciate feedback, guys. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy my channel.